Alright guys, HyDra again today. Hope you're doing well and enjoying your day so far. Another weekend of Call of Duty action upcoming, almost certainly another weekend of some sort of gentleman's agreement drama this past weekend. Big drama going down with the Seattle Surge when Huke decided to pop some snakes in a series up against the Minnesota Rocker. What is the future of this situation going to be? Envoy reveals what the punishment should be if you're breaking GAs, but said that it's unlikely to really come into effect at the major for various reasons that it becomes difficult to actually enforce these punishments when you get to LAN. Should the pros change their mind on this? Will teams therefore decide to break more GAs if they think they can get away with it? Very much into your thoughts in the comments below. Hit the like button if you enjoy. Subscribe if you're new as always, I would greatly appreciate it. Plenty to get into. First of all, you guys have probably already seen this and people are using this in ranked now, but I did just want to mention it for you guys because we need the devs to fix this. This is the issue with changing the hardpoints for kind of no reason. I'm not saying that this hardpoint is necessarily worse P3 here on the sub base than when it was inside the building. I'm not sure it's better precisely, but it's maybe not terrible, but this is a serious problem. I don't know if you guys have seen this before, but if you get up in this building here on the corner, you can actually contest and even capture it from right here. It's been a thing in previous games, capturing through the wall, but this was clearly not clipped off properly by the developers, and therefore this new hardpoint is completely broken right now, because you can just go in here and contest it, and they can get no time even if they have the full spawn. So that one definitely needs to be changed. Hopefully the devs will fix it, but this is the problem when you change all the things, that therefore you've got to go through and fix some more things, which definitely needs to happen very soon indeed. Just to mention this as well, hill time leaders, Dashy still, as you guys can see on the left hand side, leads the way with the hill time categories for now, 104 seconds or something. These are the hardpoint numbers. He's obviously doing well, but the past weekend was a slightly different story. Fellow is actually in 4th place here, jumping quite quickly, but Envoy and Insight, they're right up there as well. So it's very fascinating how different teams have remarkably different styles in terms of how much time they want to get, which of their guys is going to do the objective work. We'll see in a second here that Simp is very much the OBJ guy still for FaZe, but he is this game, maybe with 150 health or whatever, just doing so much damage in the slaying category as well. Last year, he maybe wasn't so impressive, but he was doing a lot of the OBJ work. This year he still is, but he's even way more impressive. So Simp is for me like MVP frontrunner, just because he's absolutely doing it all, and we'll see some of the numbers here in a second. But many teams have massively different ideas on this. Like we can see here, OBJ leaders across the relevant game modes. So in Control, for example, let's just have a look at Dashy or Insight. These two guys, they're getting a lot of hardpoint time. They're getting a lot of Control captures. Dashy's here for both of those, and Kenny leads the way for tiers captured in Control for now. But Simp is up here. He's not far away in the hardpoint time, but he captures almost the most amount of tiers in Control per round, and he also has almost the most plants in Search and Destroy, although that goes to Shotzzy. It's kind of funny that Cell nor aBeZy have planted the bomb one time, and Simp has basically planted it every time that FaZe have got the bomb down, and of course their Search and Destroy record is looking particularly good. The only player that appears in the lowest part of every single one is HyDra. So it is funny how the Subliners are set up, because they're like, look, Paco go kill is basically their strategy, and it's the same for Pred really. Pred appears in 2 of these, and I don't know if Pred's planted a bomb either, but he's not far away. There must be more players than 5 that haven't planted any bombs at all, but HyDra just appears here because that's, I guess, how it goes. But so Pred's in the bottom part of these as well, with not much hardpoint time, not many tiers captured, and so is HyDra, of course. So that's generally the plan for some of these guys. Scrappy though actually has the least kill time in the entire league, so to compensate for that, it's then Envoy and Insight that do a lot of the work on that, of course, for Ultra. So different teams have very different setups, because Insight and Envoy are doing most of the work really for the OBJ stuff for Ultra. That's 1 AR, 1 SMG, whereas for OpTic it's usually Kenny and Dashy, the 2 ARs that are doing it, and the 2 SMGs run around. But in Search and Destroy, they go get the bomb down, in the case of Shotzzy. Wanted to run through a couple of predictions as well. We put this out from Breaking Point yesterday with the top 4 seeds for the tournament. I know people said, it's like OpTic have already been removed from the top 4 graphic, which is kind of true, but to be fair, these are the top 4 seeds going into the major. Winner, runner-up, MVP, and then biggest bust, of course, which has caused quite a lot of controversy over the last few days. This was the bracket the reverse sweep guys put out here, so of course we saw earlier today that X made that hot take that OpTic might well find themselves top 12 for this tournament, but this is what they have going on. And look, the first round matches should be relatively predictable. Like FaZe, they've got Heretics beating OpTic, which is, the bookmakers are probably going to say OpTic are the favourites, but I think a lot of people, definitely the majority of people lately, are picking Miami to win this one. So they would play FaZe theoretically round 2. Ultra New York is a very probable round 2 matchup as well, and then the losers bracket would then be an LA derby. They'd have Thieves winning that one. OpTic will make a bit of a run before they lose to New York, of course. course, which would be going out top 6. And they've actually got Breach making a losers bracket run, which is kind of interesting here, all the way from losers round 1 to a top 4 finish. But in the end, it's Ultra FaZe in the finals. I think most people are going to have Ultra FaZe in the finals here. I think Subliners can potentially put up a fight. Like, I think on LAN they should get better, but, you know, part of me says that last year this team went to Boston and got slammed. I don't know what it was about. Okay, they had the travel delays, but they did turn up to Boston having one major, one rally, and got slammed out of the tournament. So, I don't know. I'm actually not... I think New York might be, in terms of biggest bust, I think it's either going to be OpTic, really, or it's going to be New York. That's kind of my prediction, because those two teams are expected to do well. And I think either could have a theoretically very hard time. I can't see FaZe or Ultra really, you know, messing up here, given how good they have been, and also their confidence, I'm sure, coming in. This, I believe, is what Jake Hale put together. Again, pretty similar bracket in the sense of, you know, FaZe Ultra in the finals. I think most people have that right now. He's got New York getting to top 3, Miami getting to top 4, just and then OpTic falling short in top 6 again, which is, you know, most people have OpTic top 6, maybe top 4. So we'll see if they can go one step further than that. Of course, we saw what Kenny had to say on that one earlier today. He's got Boston going out first round. There's a few interesting games here, even Rocker Ravens on paper if Subliners were to beat Rocker, which I don't think is a guarantee. I think that's definitely favoured, but, you know, New York Rocker actually could be pretty interesting. You know, again, it's just one of those that I don't have as much faith in Rocker really doing that on LAN. So I think I'd have to probably say the Subliners. But if New York lose this series, I think it actually gets really interesting. But nobody really has the Seattle Surge making much of a run this weekend, possibly because they've somewhat fallen out of favour in the community in terms of the community goodwill they used to have. This past weekend, there were lots of GA drama going down. And, well, obviously we saw the Slasher stair glitch thing that was talked about at some length. I think it was eventually agreed that, well, maybe technically it wasn't GA'd by the way that the pros have decided to do these stupid GAs. So, you know, Slasher, I don't think Boston are going to get punished for it because, you know, he had the receipts basically to show. And to be fair, they lost the series anyway. But as I've said before, I don't think that should really massively matter. The question has been, what should the punishment for these type of circumstances be? Not necessarily for the stair glitch spot, just because it's a grey area whether that's GA'd or not. Most pros then came out and said, okay, I looked at the chat and actually, no, technically it's not GA'd, although it most certainly should be, and that was Slasher's point as well. But there are some things which are GA'd, which are not up for debate, such as single tap to run, such as using more than one smoke grenade in search and destroy, and such as snaking a heady and putting more than 2 pumps down in a particular scenario. So Envoy commented on this on the breakdown, discussing what the potential punishment should be. If you guys didn't see this the other day, this was the Huke snaking situation where he's here behind the dumpster and, you know, he gets this first kill. He then pops one little snake here. He then gets up again. He does it again. You can see Awakening kind of doing it in the top window, although Awakening may be, you know, could be 2 or 3 pumps. And he knows that he's going to, this is the thing for Huke, right? He's trying to do this gunfight against Awakening, but he knows that there's somebody to his right trying to shoot him, really. So he is snaking to, you know, to try and avoid this guy, and eventually he goes down. But that was pretty much 3 pumps, arguably 4. So, you know, I think that definitely crossed the line in terms of what was a snake and what wasn't a snake. And again, it's in a crunch time moment, 220 and a half point map. Like, that's when these things tend to get broken. And it is, unfortunately for Surge, far from the first time they have done this. So Envoy was then discussing, what is the punishment for this going to be? The pros have apparently agreed 1 week of no practice is the way that it's going to be. They're going to get effectively short-term blacklisted for breaking gentlemen's agreements. But Envoy says that for the major, that becomes more challenging to enforce.
Do you have an answer for, like, what is the punishment if someone breaks GAs blatantly right now? Is it like 1 week of no scrims, no warm-ups? Like, what is the official behind-the-scenes pro ruling?
I think we said that just the no warm-up, like, wasn't harsh enough, and, like, if you break a GA and then a poor match, then the no warm-up is just, like, whatever. I didn't get warmed up, right?
Yeah.
So I think it's going to be a week of scrims, and then we talked about doing stuff at a major, but you don't really want to screw over some other team with, like, a warm-up or, like...
Yeah.
Like, say we like said, yo, Seattle, like, you get no warm-up at the major. They could be like, all right, well, y'all, I'm not giving someone else a warm-up.
Yeah.
So we don't want to run into that issue.
Yeah, that would not be good for anybody.
Yeah.
So we saw this punishment when it was initially dished out to Skyz back during Major 1, right? Or I guess Major 1 qualifiers right at the start of December, when he snaked in that series against Gorillas, and as a result, they were effectively, you know, banned from scrims for warming up for a day. So they played a match and they had no warm-up. But as Envoy says, the pros realised that ain't really much, is it? You break a GA, you apologise, I didn't mean to do it, guys, sorry. And then you take no warm-up, and it's like you probably still win the series anyway. Skyz was still doing the post-game interview, so they still won the series series at the end of the day. The feeling is for the pros, okay, that's not enough. We need to do a more severe punishment. What about 1 week of no practice? Because that probably would incentivize teams to actually listen and follow the gentleman's agreement, which is the biggest challenge. You know, Aix makes this point, Slasher makes this point, that back in the day, you didn't have to worry about these stuff because the pros had more integrity. If they agreed to something, they would uphold it. Nowadays, it's not necessarily the same story. So, you know, the pros themselves are dishing out crime and punishment. They're the ones that decide, so they have to come up with a good solution. And it seems like the teams agreed, all right, 1 week of no practice, that's the way to go. And maybe more, right? There's been talk from, I think it was Ghosty maybe, that like first offense is a week and then second offense is going to be like a month of no practice. But then Surge broke the 2 smokes GA. And then Scrappy was like, well, probably 1 month of no practice for the second offense after the aBeZy single tap to run thing is too harsh, so we'll let it go. And now Huke snakes again. So, you know, what are they going to do? Is it going to be a week? Is it going to be a month? Is it going to be 2 weeks? I don't know. But the problem is that going into the major, it's a little bit challenging to actually work this out, what you want to do in this circumstance. Giving them no week of practice from now until the major means that they basically don't lose much at all. Travel day for many players today, tomorrow. Maybe they get one, you know, set of scrims in on the Wednesday before the matches begin. So, you know, are they going to not scrim them at the venue on Wednesday? Like, what are they going to play then? That'd be interesting. And also, as Envoy says, they could potentially go the other way, that Surge say, well, if you're not going to warm us up for our series on LAN, then, you know, we're not going to warm you guys up. But, you know, they're the ones, if you all agree to the crime and punishment situation, which apparently they kind of have done, then that's how it works, right? Like, okay, we broke the GAs, we're getting punished. It is what it is. We won't do it again. But if on LAN, where things really matter, the punishments aren't really getting dished out, then you've got to wonder whether they're really going to care or not. Now then again, if Surge turn up to this LAN and they break GAs again, like let's say they find themselves in a similar situation and they snake or they do something, I don't know, they use a cheese spot which isn't allowed according to the pros, I don't know, then what's it going to be then, right? Are they going to have like a whole month of no practice following the major? Possibly. But just the idea that the punishment isn't coming now and it's probably coming after the major means that Surge won't really have been punished for the tournament. Sure, they'll have been punished going forwards, and to be fair, no scrims immediately following this major is a bit of a big deal because brand new patch update, of course, with lots to learn, but then again, you just scrim amateur teams, potentially, although some of the top am teams like FaZe Black also will kind of agree not to scrim them just because the pros say, hey, can you not scrim them, please? But Surge can still find some practice, so I don't know, it's difficult to say. What the pros are doing is a good idea, it's just, my question is, can they actually execute this to the point where it really incentivizes teams not to do it? Because when you've had a team like Surge breaking GAs like 3 times so far, doesn't give me that much confidence that the pros' current system to enforce gentlemen's agreements to be followed is actually really working, especially with what Envoy just said. But very much interested to your thoughts on all this stuff in the comment section below. Hit the like button if you enjoyed, subscribe if you're new, take care, and I'll see you next time.